Hello to everybody. As Nick said, my name is Lewis. I'm a part of the support team. We've most likely spoken to each other in one way or form via support tickets, emails, calls, etc. And in today's session, we're going to be going over everything pretty much related to communication, emailing, SMSing within Supermove. Now, one thing I do want to lay out there, guys, is that today we will not be discussing two-way email. This is something that's still in the works. We do have a beta release starting next week, so more announcements coming soon regarding that. Kind of want to put that out there because I can imagine people are very anxious and want to learn about that ASAP. More information to come, like I said. Now, in regards to today's session, we're going to be going over, like I said, everything regarding emailing and SMS. So we're going to be going over the communication settings, how to create email templates, SMS templates, how to create our new document flows, and how to look into our new emailing widget and pretty much how emails now look in the system when tied to a project specifically. With that being said, guys, one more time, if any questions or comments do pop up, please use the Q&A button at the very bottom. That is going to allow you to type in any questions you have. And if possible, we're going to be answering them live as well. There will be also a space at the end of the call, so that way we can cover a quick Q&A. So yeah. Thank you very much, guys. And getting started, as we can see, I'm sharing my screen. We're looking at the settings. And the first place we're going to go ahead and dive into is communications. So within the communications, guys, we have three tabs. We have general, email templates, and SMS templates. Starting with general, this is where we can find system notifications and the sender/reply to setup. Starting with system notifications, this is pretty much the email that's going to receive any of the notifications that you guys wish or that you guys set up via your email templates, which I'll show you guys what I mean very specifically in a moment. But essentially, this is tied to a variable that you can add to your email templates. And whenever you guys get a response or whenever that email is sent from Supermove, this is CC'd automatically and it works as as we can see here, as a notification itself. The reply to, this is where we can pretty much set up what the sender name and what the reply to name is going to show up whenever a customer receives an email from Supermove. So for example, in this case, we have reply to company. If I were to send a confirmation from this account, the customer is going to see this in the reply to, and they're also going to see this as the sender. If I wanted to, I could also switch this so it's reply to sender, meaning that whoever is the one that clicked send is the one that's going to show up as a sender and once again as the reply to contact if a customer decides to reply back to those emails. Moving forward into email templates. Within email templates, guys, we have two specific categories. We have custom email templates, which are the ones that you guys create depending on your specific needs and specific communications you want to send to customers. And then we have these system email templates, which are the default email templates that us as a company provide to you guys, which are just standard practice. Looking into some of these custom email, guys, obviously creating them is one of the steps we want to review. So we have this big blue create email template button in the top left. When we click on this, we have a couple of options to fill out. On the right-hand side, we have the actual body of the email, which pretty much works and behaves as a Gmail or an Outlook email template. Same thing. You can put in all the information that you need. You can put in images, attachments, etc. We highly recommend the use of variables because this is what's going to help you guys autofill information into the emails themselves. For example, the movers, the trucks, location information, pretty much anything that is on this variable list. If we input it into the actual email itself, it will auto-populate with whatever information is shown from the system. And also if the variable is filled out, guys, that's a very important thing to have in mind. Normal editing for the actual body of the email is also available. Like I said, this is just as if we were in a Gmail. Whenever you open up a new Gmail to compose, this is the same type of setup or options that you would receive on that end as well. Now, on the left-hand side, we have a couple of other options that we have to fill out. A very important one is the email template kind. This is important because it can actually affect how the email is sent or when the email is sent or how it's viewed, in other words. So here we have the possibility of choosing between, if this is going to be a custom invoice email template, a confirmation email template, so on and so forth, or if it's just a completely custom email template and such. The email template name. So if we want to give a specific name to this email template, we can go ahead and do so right here. Very important to note, guys, that this is very different from the subject line. The email template name, that's more of an internal identifier for, whoever's in the system and reviewing these templates to understand what this may be used for. And then the subject is what the customer would actually be seeing when they receive this email. Now, recipients, this is very important, guys, because here, when we click into this, you can see that there's many options. If we take a step back and if we remember, I mentioned the system notifications, right? And we saw a specific email there. If we were to use, for example, this variable, that email that we just saw previously in the other screen is going to be automatically added to this email when sent out. Here we can see it's added to the recipients, but obviously if we want to do it as a CC or as a BCC, we also have those options as well. Once we have all the information that we need here, guys, let me just fill this out like so. The top right corner, it's going to show the create option. And if we click on this, we're going to see that this has now been saved and created, which is this one right here. Once an email template is created, it can be obviously edited, removed, or whatever the case is, if it's a custom one when it comes to removing. We cannot remove system email templates, as we can see here. But if we wanted to edit, we can click on the blue pencil icon, and it's going to bring us back to that same page we were just on. Same applies for the system email, guys. If I want to click onto any of these and modify them to my liking, I can go ahead and do so, making sure I click save once I'm finished. Scrolling down a little bit more, we have the email attachment library. So this is where you would add any documents, PDFs, essentially items that you would want to add to these templates. So that way, whenever the template goes out, it goes out with one of these specific attachments. Things like installation services, junk removal, packing services, packing tips and tricks, stuff like that can be added here and then can be added to these templates as well. Moving on to SMS templates, guys, it's pretty much the same setup as previously. We're going to have a section for custom SMS templates and system SMS templates. Same logic applies. If I want to edit any of the existing ones, I click on the blue pencil icon, and over here in the body, I can start to modify the information. If I want to create a new one, over here on the right-hand side, we're going to have the create custom template option, where once again, I can give this a name. I can choose what type of SMS template this is going to be, if it's for a customer, if it's for movers, or if it's for the office. And then after that, I can now go ahead and actually input the body or the actual message that I'm going to be using for this template. And lastly, once I've filled out all this information, we click create, and we now have a new template. Oh, and a cool feature here, guys, if we click on the actual templates themselves, we can see a bit of a preview on the right-hand side. And once here, we can also click edit template to just dive into the template itself and make edits if needed. All right, guys, moving forward. So once again, before that, remember the Q&A option is available. So if you have any questions, feel free to start dropping those right now and we'll answer them live. If not, at the end of the call, we do have a space for them. So we covered emailing, creating email templates and creating SMS templates in the system. Now we're going to go ahead and review document flows. Document flows, guys, can be found within the document section. And once we're here, we're going to see that we have this second tab over here at the top, and we have the possibility of creating, once again, these flows. The intention with document flows, guys, is to be able to send customers via email documents that need to be signed. This could be either pre-move or post-move. And the reason this was mainly created, guys, is because apart from the proposal button, the send confirmation button, we didn't have a way to send customers documents for signature. And as we know, if we use the proposal button, that can mess up statuses, convert things that were booked back to lead. And obviously those are things we want to avoid. So this is where flows comes into place. I have a couple of examples already in place, guys, which I'll be showing you how we're going to use later on. But for now, pretty simple. We're going to see how to create these. So by clicking into the create option, we get this menu. We start off by giving these a name, depending on, what it is that this flow is going to be used for. We're going to give it a description. So that way we once again understand what this flow is going to be used for. We're going to use one of the email templates that's already in the system. If the email template that you guys have in mind does not show up in this list, that means it's not created, meaning that we have to take a step back, go back to communications, and create the email template so that way it can show up on this list. For now, we're just going to choose a random one. We have two additional options. We have set expiration in case we want the actual process or the document flow to expire after X amount of days. hours or minutes that have passed by. And we also have the option to attach documents as PDF. So essentially, once these documents are signed, they would receive another email afterwards with a PDF version of that signed document. And lastly, guys, we have the project type. So essentially, this is where we would want to see the document flow available. If I say select all, this means I can use this document flow on all of my project types. However, I can be picky and say, hey, I only want this to be available for local move. In the case that, let's say we do select all, we have this second option that's right below, which is assigned to all new project types. So in the case that a new project type is created with this turned on, this flow will be applicable or will be usable on that project type from day one. And then lastly, we just have this document section, guys, which is pretty much, any of the documents that we already have in system, we can add it to this flow. And that's pretty much what would be used for signing. So a very important thing and a very big caveat that I want to put out there, guys, is that whenever we create the document that's supposed to be used on one of these flows, we need to make sure that we have the signature box added to the document, because if not, the system, or better said, the customer is not going to really have anywhere to sign. It's just going to be pretty much a page showing the written information, and that's it. So in this case, I would be adding, as an example, let's say just had it. One sec. Here we go. Claims form. So let's say this is a document flow for claims. Your customers, they wrote up a claim after the job was completed, and you need to send this document to them so that way they can sign it. We go ahead and add it here. We click save, and we have essentially our first flow created. So this was just a very over-the-top explanation, guys. Dipping into some of the examples that I already have here created. So for example, we have this one, which is called booked over the phone / outside of Supermove. Now, this can happen in the case where, you're talking to a customer, they told you verbally, hey, yes, I want to book, I'm ready to go, put me on the calendar. What we would do here, guys, instead of essentially sending this information through, let's say, the workflow, the proposals workflow, we would do it through a document flow. Why? Because what we would do is we would go over to proposals, we would click where it says skip confirmation, that would automatically mark them as booked, and then we would go to document flows, and we would now be able to send that information that we would typically send through a confirmation flow, but through the document flow. So here we can see that I already set it up. I already added the confirmation letter, customer inventory, and our evaluation options. So when I go to document flow, these are pretty much the documents that I can choose from for the flow itself. Another example is the claims follow-up. So it's kind of what I just created, but this one's a little bit better set up. So again, you were moving the customer, everything went well. After the move was finished, let's say 3 days, 4 days, a week later, they came through and they, wrote up a claim saying that you guys broke something, etc. I would be able to go back to that project, go into my document flows, click on this one specifically, and send out our claim form. So that way our customer can sign that information and we can get that whole claim process started. Once again, this is now outside of the confirmation workflow, which was the only workflow or the only way we had to send emails that had documents attached to it that could be signed. All right. So now that we got the settings and the setup out of the way, we now actually want to get into a project to see how this information would look and how it would behave. So I'm going to go ahead and create a quick training job for you guys. You're live. And once this has been set up, we're going to go ahead and get into it and start looking at the SMS and email tabs. Let's just give it a quick second here. There we go. Nice. So now that we're here, guys, we have two specific sections that we can look at for emails and SMS. Those sections are the customer information over here at the very top corner and the emails and SMS tab on the toolbar we see going vertically down on the right-hand side. Starting with the customer information over here, if I click on my email, in this case, because I'm the dummy customer, I can see that I have the option to send either a template or a document flow. Templates are just normal email templates we created and we saw, which can be either the custom ones or the system ones. So let's just click on this one, for example. When we choose one, it's going to show up the actual email template itself where we can make changes to it, changes to who this is being sent, who's being CC'd, the subject, and the actual body of the email itself. We can also add attachments as we can see here. If everything looks good, guys, we can just go ahead and click send, and that's it. We have sent our first email to this training job. And I want to close this because I don't want to show it yet. But let's say I had a phone number. Let me just add here real quick. If I had a phone number and I click here, we can see that we have a couple of options. We can go ahead and call. We can go ahead and send an SMS, or we can compose any of the actual templates we already have in the system. So let's go ahead and click on this test one. You can see that since this is just an SMS and DM, it's just going to have the body. And this was just random gibberish that you guys saw I typed into the actual example itself, but it pulled up as expected, which is perfect. At this point, all I would really have to do is click on this blue arrow button to send it out. And we can see that this has now been sent. If a customer replies back, we would see that reply here as well. Now, coming back over to this toolbar, guys, we have the email section. So this one's a little bit more comprehensive because this now shows all the emails that have been sent from the system. And from here, we can also compose the emails if needed. But clicking into one of the ones that I just sent, we're going to see we have now a completely new view to how emails show up. Previously, if you guys remember, whenever you clicked on one of these emails, it would pretty much just open up on this side menu itself, and you would be able to see it right here. But now we're getting a much better and expanded view when it comes to emails. And this is pretty much the norm moving forward. A couple of features we have here is we can go ahead and view the list of emails we've sent or received through this section right here by clicking the next and the previous button options in the top right, as we can see here. If any errors happen with emails, guys, you will get a big banner, a big yellow banner at the very top that says there was an error with this email. I don't have a great example for that at the moment, guys, but I do apologize. However, in the documentation that we will be creating for this, we will have a screenshot that shows what that error specifically looks like. All right. And now getting into the meat of things, guys, we're going to go over document workflows. So as you could see, if I click on the add email or create email button, we have the document flow options right here. We cannot create custom workflows from this section, guys. That's why we need to create the templates in the settings, because that's pretty much the only option we have, as you can see here. So in this case, let's say I wanted to send a liability waiver or the claims workflow, whatever the case is. It's going to go ahead and pop up this screen. It's very, very similar to what the confirmation workflow looks like, guys. It has pretty much, I would almost say, the identical setup to it, right? So we have the document that's being set at the very top, expiration if we want that turned on or off, the email draft itself, and then just attachments at the bottom. The send button, guys, is in the top right corner. So once I've reviewed this and made sure everything is good to go, what I can go ahead and do now is click send. I can now review the email that was sent as well. And if I were the customer reviewing this email, I would be able to click into this. It's now going to bring up that document, sign it, continue. This is just showing confirmation that it was signed. But if we go back to the training job, we can see that this has now been completed. And most importantly, if we go over to documents, we can now see that it has been signed and is attached to the project itself. All right. So team, this does, we're coming up to the end of today's session. This does conclude pretty much everything that I would like to explain to you guys. Right now, we're going to go ahead and use these last couple of minutes as a Q&A. So if any questions do come up, please, this is the moment to start using that Q&A option, and we will gladly start answering those. And once again, guys, thank you very much for the time and for everybody being here. As always, it's been a pleasure.